Most people want a better life, but very few are willing to live better today. They wait for motivation, inspiration, or the perfect moment to arrive. But life doesn't change on some day. It changes on discipline. If you look closely at every successful person, you won't find magic, luck, or shortcuts. You'll find habits. Quiet, boring, daily habits that most people refuse to practice. Discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is the difference between dreams that stay in the mind and results that show up in real life. Every regret you carry began as a moment where discipline was optional and comfort won. Every achievement you admire was built on choices made when no one was watching. If you're tired of starting over, tired of knowing what to do but not doing it, then this message is for you. Because once you understand this truth, that discipline is everything, excuses lose their power, and your life begins to change. Everyone has goals. People talk about what they want to become, what they want to earn, where they want to go, and how they want life to look one day. Goals are easy to set because they live in the imagination, and imagination has no cost. You can dream for free, but results live in the real world, and the real world has rules. One of those rules is simple and unforgiving. Nothing moves from intention to reality without discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. And without that bridge, goals remain nothing more than pleasant thoughts. A goal without discipline is just a wish dressed up to look serious. Writing goals down feels productive. Talking about them feels motivating. And visualizing success feels exciting. But none of those things change your life unless they are followed by disciplined action. Life does not respond to desire alone. It responds to behavior. And behavior, repeated daily, is governed by discipline. Discipline is not about doing something heroic once in a while. It is about doing the ordinary things consistently. It is waking up when you said you would. It is practicing when no one is watching. It is preparing when you could easily procrastinate. These small acts may not feel powerful in the moment, but over time they become unstoppable. Discipline quietly converts goals into progress, and progress into results. Many people make the mistake of waiting for motivation to act. They think discipline will arrive after inspiration. In truth, discipline comes first. Action creates clarity. Action creates confidence. Action creates momentum. When you act with discipline, even without motivation, the results begin to appear, and motivation follows naturally. Discipline is not dependent on feelings. It is a decision to act according to your standards, not your moods. Goals are future-focused, but discipline is present-focused. You cannot act in the future. You can only act now. Discipline brings your future into the present by forcing you to do today what your future requires. If your goal is growth, discipline asks, what should I read today? If your goal is success, discipline asks, what skill should I practice today? If your goal is freedom, discipline asks, what habits must I change today? Without discipline, the future stays safely distant, always tomorrow, never today. There is a painful illusion that goals alone create pressure to succeed. They do not. Pressure fades. Excitement fades. Discipline remains. Discipline keeps you moving forward on the days when the goal feels far away, when progress is slow, and when results are invisible. It teaches you to trust the process rather than your emotions. Discipline also acts as a filter. It separates serious people from wishful thinkers. Many people want the rewards of success, but few are willing to adopt the disciplines that success demands. Discipline exposes commitment. When the alarm rings early, when the work is boring, when the results are delayed, discipline answers a simple question: do you want comfort now, or results later? Goals give direction, but discipline gives traction. Without traction, direction is meaningless. You can know exactly where you want to go and still remain stuck. Discipline is what grips the ground and moves you forward inch by inch. It may not feel fast, but it is reliable, and reliability beats intensity every time. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled with luck or shortcuts. It is filled with disciplined actions repeated long enough to matter. Every disciplined action is a brick laid on the bridge between desire and reality. Skip the bricks, and the bridge collapses. Lay them patiently, and one day you realize you are standing exactly where you once only dreamed of being. Success is rarely the result of one dramatic decision or one extraordinary moment. It is built quietly, almost invisibly, through the small things done day after day. Most people underestimate the power of daily actions because they seem too simple to matter. Reading a few pages, waking up a little earlier, practicing a skill for half an hour, saving a small amount of money. None of these feel life-changing in the moment. Yet it is precisely these small disciplines that shape the direction of a life. What you do once in a while does not define you. What you do consistently does. Small daily disciplines may feel insignificant today, but time magnifies everything. Just as small neglects grow into major problems, small positive actions grow into massive results. The direction you are moving is determined not by your intentions, but by your habits. And habits are nothing more than repeated actions, guided by discipline. The challenge is that small disciplines do not produce immediate rewards. You do not feel smarter after reading 10 pages. You do not feel richer after saving a little money. You do not feel stronger after one workout. Because the reward is delayed, many people quit. They assume what they are doing is not working, when in reality it is working perfectly, just slowly. Discipline teaches patience. It teaches you to trust the process long before the results become visible. Life has a strange sense of fairness. It allows easy choices to feel good at first and hard choices to feel uncomfortable at first. Sleeping in feels good today. Skipping practice feels good today. Avoiding responsibility feels good today. But these choices come with interest, and the payment is due later. Small daily disciplines feel uncomfortable at first, but they pay dividends over time. The price is small, but the reward is large. Consistency is the real secret behind extraordinary results. Anyone can act once when motivation is high. Discipline shows up when motivation is gone. Small actions done consistently compound. Just as money grows through compound interest, effort grows through compound discipline. Each disciplined day strengthens the next one. Each small win builds confidence. Over time, consistency turns average effort into uncommon success. Small disciplines also shape identity. You do not just get results, you become someone different. When you read daily, you become a learner. When you train daily, you become disciplined. When you work on your craft daily, you become a professional. Identity is not claimed. It is earned through repeated behavior. Discipline quietly transforms who you are, not just what you achieve. Many people wait for perfect conditions to start. They wait for more time, more energy, or more confidence. But perfection never arrives. Small daily disciplines thrive in imperfect conditions. You do not need a perfect schedule to read a few pages. You do not need perfect energy to make a small effort. Discipline does not demand everything, it demands something, done consistently. The danger is not doing too little in one day. The danger is doing too little every day. Small neglects are rarely noticed at first. Skipping one workout does not ruin your health. Ignoring one opportunity does not ruin your career. But repeated neglect slowly erodes progress. Discipline protects you from this erosion by keeping you engaged, even when progress feels slow. Time will pass whether you are disciplined or not. The question is what you will have to show for it. Small daily disciplines turn time into an ally. Without them, time becomes an enemy. Years later, the disciplined person looks back with gratitude, while the undisciplined person looks back with regret. In the end, massive success is not created by massive actions, but by small, wise actions repeated until they become part of who you are. Discipline does not demand greatness today. It asks for consistency today, knowing that greatness will arrive on its own. Human nature naturally avoids discomfort. We are wired to seek pleasure and escape pain. This instinct is useful for survival, but dangerous for growth. When it comes to discipline, this instinct often tricks people into choosing short-term comfort over long-term success. Skipping the hard work feels harmless in the moment. But every avoided discipline carries a hidden cost that shows up later as regret. This is why the pain of discipline is always lighter than the pain of regret. Discipline asks for a small payment today. Regret demands a massive payment tomorrow. Discipline might require waking up earlier, saying no to distractions, practicing when you are tired, or holding yourself accountable when no one else will. These actions create temporary discomfort, but they move your life forward. Regret, on the other hand, is heavy and lasting. It is the quiet pain of knowing you could have done more, but chose not to. Most people misunderstand pain. They think avoiding discipline means avoiding pain. In reality, it only delays it. The pain you avoid today returns later with interest. Poor health, financial stress, broken relationships, and unrealized potential are not sudden events. They are the result of small, undisciplined choices made repeatedly over time. Regret is rarely dramatic at first. It grows slowly, feeding on neglected responsibilities and postponed decisions. Discipline gives you control over which pain you experience. You can choose the pain of effort or the pain of disappointment. One builds strength, the other builds resentment. The disciplined person accepts temporary discomfort because they understand its purpose. They see effort as an investment, not a punishment. Regret feels like a trap because it is pain with no reward. One of the cruelest aspects of regret is that it is often accompanied by clarity. In hindsight, the path becomes obvious. The actions you should have taken are suddenly clear. The warnings you ignored make sense. Discipline gives you that clarity in advance. It forces you to face reality early, when change is still possible, rather than later, when options are limited. Regret also attacks self-respect. It erodes confidence and creates doubt. You begin to question your ability to commit, to follow through, to trust yourself. Discipline, even when difficult, strengthens self-respect. Every disciplined action sends a message to your mind: you are capable of doing hard things. Over time, this builds inner strength and emotional resilience. People often say they do not want to feel restricted. They resist discipline because they fear it will limit their freedom. But regret is the ultimate prison. It traps you in what could have been. Discipline may feel restrictive today, but it expands your options tomorrow. It creates health, stability, and opportunity. Regret removes them. Another hidden cost of regret is comparison. When you avoid discipline, you eventually watch others surpass you. Not because they were smarter or more gifted, but because they were more consistent. This comparison fuels bitterness, not motivation. Discipline protects you from this bitterness by keeping you focused on your own progress. The most painful regrets are not about things we tried and failed at. They are about things we never tried at all. Discipline gives you the courage to act before fear talks you out of it. Even when discipline does not lead to immediate success, it protects you from the question that haunts so many lives. What if I had tried? Discipline is a form of self-care, even though it does not always feel kind in the moment. It looks beyond temporary comfort and chooses long-term well-being. Regret does the opposite. It sacrifices the future for the present. One choice builds a life you respect. The other leaves you with memories you wish you could change. Every day, you are choosing between these two pains, whether you realize it or not. Discipline may sting briefly, but regret lingers. One strengthens you. The other weakens you. Over time, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. Discipline cannot exist without personal responsibility. The moment a person believes their life is controlled entirely by circumstances, luck, or other people, discipline loses its power. Responsibility is the foundation that supports disciplined action. It is the decision to say, no matter what has happened to me, I am responsible for what I do next. Without this mindset, effort becomes inconsistent and progress becomes accidental. Blame is the enemy of discipline. When you blame the economy, your upbringing, your past mistakes, or the behavior of others, you give away control. Blame may feel comforting because it removes pressure, but it also removes power. Discipline requires ownership. Ownership means accepting that while you may not control everything that happens to you, you always control your response. That response, repeated daily, shapes your future. Personal responsibility forces honesty. It removes excuses and replaces them with action. When you take responsibility, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I do about this?" That shift changes everything. Discipline thrives in environments where excuses are not entertained. It grows when accountability becomes personal rather than external. Many people wait for someone else to fix things. A better boss, a better government, a better opportunity, a better moment. Discipline does not wait. Discipline acts with what is available now. Personal responsibility accepts imperfect conditions and works anyway. It understands that progress does not require ideal circumstances, only committed action. Responsibility also sharpens awareness. When you stop blaming, you begin to see patterns in your behavior. You notice where your time goes, where your energy leaks, and where your habits are misaligned with your goals. Discipline uses this awareness to make adjustments. Without responsibility, awareness turns into self-pity. With responsibility, awareness turns into growth. Taking responsibility is uncomfortable because it removes the safety net of excuses. It forces you to confront your own decisions and their consequences. But this discomfort is productive. It pushes you to improve rather than complain. Discipline grows stronger each time you choose improvement over excuse making. Personal responsibility also builds resilience. When setbacks happen, responsible individuals do not collapse. They assess, adapt, and continue. Discipline does not demand perfection, it demands persistence. Responsibility allows you to learn from mistakes instead of being defined by them. Each mistake becomes feedback rather than failure. There is a quiet confidence that comes from responsibility. You trust yourself more because you are no longer waiting for permission or approval to act. Discipline becomes self-directed rather than externally enforced. You do not need pressure from others because your standards come from within. Responsibility also influences relationships and leadership. Disciplined people who take ownership earn trust. Others know they follow through. They do not shift blame or avoid accountability. This trust creates opportunities, whether in career, business, or personal life. Discipline backed by responsibility becomes a reliable force. Many people confuse responsibility with guilt. They are not the same. Guilt looks backward and paralyzes. Responsibility looks forward and empowers. Discipline is future-focused. It asks what must be done now to improve what comes next. When you fully accept responsibility for your life, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It becomes a tool. You no longer act because you are forced to, but because you choose to. That choice is the turning point. From that moment forward, progress is no longer accidental. It becomes intentional, steady, and lasting. Self-respect is not something given by others, it is something built from within. It grows or shrinks based on how consistently you keep the promises you make to yourself. Discipline plays a central role in this process. Every time you decide to act in alignment with your values and follow through, even when it is difficult, you strengthen your sense of self-worth. Over time, discipline becomes the foundation of genuine confidence. Confidence that depends on praise, recognition, or external validation is fragile. It rises and falls with circumstances. Discipline-based confidence is different. It is quiet, steady, and resilient. It comes from knowing that you can rely on yourself. When you say you will do something and you do it, you reinforce trust in your own character. That trust becomes inner strength. Broken promises to yourself may seem harmless because no one else sees them. But your mind remembers. Each time you postpone, quit, or excuse yourself, you send a message that your word does not matter. Over time, this erodes confidence. Discipline reverses this erosion. It repairs self-trust by proving, action by action, that you are capable of consistency. Discipline also removes inner conflict. Many people live with constant mental tension because they know what they should do, but repeatedly fail to do it. This gap creates frustration and self-criticism. Discipline closes the gap. When your actions align with your intentions, your mind becomes calmer and more focused. Peace is often the byproduct of disciplined living. Confidence built through discipline does not require comparison. You stop measuring yourself against others because your standard becomes internal. You measure progress by effort and improvement rather than position. This internal measurement protects you from envy and insecurity. Discipline keeps you focused on your own growth rather than someone else's success. Self-respect also grows through delayed gratification. Discipline teaches you to choose long-term benefits over short-term comfort. Each time you resist an easy distraction in favor of meaningful work, you reinforce your ability to govern yourself. This self-governance is deeply empowering. It reminds you that you are not controlled by impulses, moods, or circumstances. Discipline strengthens emotional resilience. When challenges arise, disciplined individuals are less likely to panic or quit. They have already proven to themselves that they can endure discomfort. This resilience is a form of confidence. It is the belief that no matter what happens, you can respond with control and intention. There is also dignity in discipline. People may not always notice your effort, but they sense your stability. Disciplined individuals carry themselves differently. They speak with clarity, act with purpose, and make decisions with confidence. This presence is not forced. It is earned through consistency. Discipline teaches patience with yourself. You learn that growth is a process, not an event. Mistakes become lessons rather than evidence of failure. Self-respect grows when you correct yourself instead of condemning yourself. Discipline allows improvement without self-destruction. True confidence is not loud. It does not need to prove anything. It comes from knowing that when life becomes difficult, you will not abandon yourself. Discipline builds that assurance quietly, day by day. In the end, self-respect is the reward of disciplined living. You may gain skills, success, and recognition along the way, but the greatest achievement is becoming someone you trust. That trust, built through discipline, becomes unshakable confidence. Many people see discipline as a restriction, something that limits freedom and enjoyment. They believe that structure takes away choice, and that self-control makes life rigid. In reality, the opposite is true. Discipline is what creates real freedom. Without discipline, life becomes controlled by impulses, circumstances, and consequences. With discipline, you gain options, stability, and peace of mind. Undisciplined living feels free in the beginning. You can sleep whenever you want, spend whatever you earn, eat whatever you crave, and avoid difficult responsibilities. But this freedom is temporary and deceptive. Over time, the consequences appear. Poor health limits your energy. Financial stress limits your choices. Lack of skill limits your opportunities. What once felt like freedom becomes a cage built by your own habits. Discipline works quietly and patiently, often without immediate reward. It asks you to make structured choices when chaos would feel easier. You plan your time, manage your money, care for your health, and develop your skills. These actions may feel restrictive at first, but they prevent future limitations. Discipline trades a little comfort now for a lot of freedom later. Freedom is not the absence of rules, it is the ability to live within rules that serve you. Discipline allows you to design those rules, instead of being forced into them by circumstances. When you discipline your finances, you are no longer trapped by debt or emergencies. When you discipline your body, you are no longer limited by illness or fatigue. When you discipline your time, you are no longer overwhelmed by chaos. Discipline also creates mental freedom. A disciplined mind is less cluttered by guilt, worry, and regret. You stop constantly negotiating with yourself about what you should be doing. Decisions become simpler because your standards are clear. This clarity reduces stress and increases focus. Mental freedom is one of the most overlooked benefits of discipline. Another powerful form of freedom, created by discipline, is independence. Disciplined people rely less on others to rescue them from their own mistakes. They are prepared, capable, and proactive. This independence builds confidence and self-respect. You are no longer at the mercy of last-minute pressure or external control. Discipline also expands opportunity. Opportunities favor those who are ready. Skills, health, and financial stability open doors that undisciplined living closes. When opportunity appears, disciplined people can act because they have prepared in advance. Freedom is having the ability to say yes when it matters. Many people chase freedom through avoidance. They avoid commitment, responsibility, and effort. But avoidance shrinks life. Discipline expands it. Commitment creates mastery. Responsibility creates reliability. Effort creates growth. Discipline does not remove joy. It protects it by preventing unnecessary suffering. There is also freedom in self-mastery. When you can control your actions, emotions, and habits, you are not easily manipulated by fear, temptation, or pressure. This inner control is the highest form of freedom. It allows you to respond intentionally, rather than react emotionally. Discipline is not about living a narrow life. It is about building a strong foundation that allows you to explore without fear of collapse. It gives you the stability to take risks, the confidence to pursue goals, and the peace to enjoy success. In the long run, the disciplined life is the freer life. It may demand more from you in the beginning, but it gives more back in the end. What feels like restriction today becomes liberation tomorrow.